principales entreprises of the island and from the government and from the space here in Azores.
forgot the question. What's the impact of the solar activity on the astronauts while they're living on the ISS?
The effect of solar activity. Well,
Yes.
solar activity is only changing the atmosphere of the Earth. It blows up the atmosphere. That means that the ISS is slowed down a little. That's not a big effect. The most serious effect is the cosmic radiation, because that penetrates the hull of ISS, and that is more a problem. So it's not the effect of the solar radiation, but the cosmic radiation is much more a problem.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bertus. 3 minutes. Okay, we have 3 minutes to the 30 minutes, I suppose. Yeah?
Yes, 2 minutes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If you don't care, we can also start at this moment. Then we
Okay.
have 2 minutes before ISS left.
Okay, sure.
Okay, then let's start with this. My first question is for Erin, the phone operator. Is the recording still running, or do you have to start it now? Erin? Well, she's not here at this moment, but usually the operator is listening in. Then we will start.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I just wanted to ask you, is the recording still running, or do you have to start it now?
No, the recordings are still going for you.
Still going? Okay, thank you very
Yes.
much.
You're welcome.
Good. Then I start my introduction, and it goes as follows. Hello, everyone. This is Bertus Husken, amateur call Papa Echo 1 Kilo Echo Hotel, and I'm your amateur radio operator for today. Through the help of amateur radio volunteers and the crew on board ISS, we hope to soon establish a ham radio contact with the International Space Station as it flies more than 400 kilometers above the Earth. This is all accomplished with ARISS, amateur radio on the International Space Station. ISS currently is flying over Western Africa. Well, I see it's still the Atlantic, at a speed of 28,000 kilometers per hour. And this contact will be performed using the amateur radio Telebridge network, a worldwide network of amateur radio ground stations that enables students to contact the ISS. ARISS is a consortium of ham radio volunteers from 9 nations that develop and operate the amateur radio station on board the International Space Station. Some members of ARISS are the worldwide AMSAT Radio Amateur Satellite Corporations, and together with space organizations in Canada, Europe, Japan, America, and Russia, and they are called CSA, ESA, JAXA, NASA, and Roscosmos. The amateur ground station will be that's what they are related to. The amateur radio ground station that will establish contact with the ISS is IK1SLD, IK1SLD, located in Italy and operated by Claudio Ariotti. Thanks for helping us, Claudia. Now we still have 5 minutes until ISS will appear above the horizon, as seen from Italy. Our contact from today is with Josh Cassada, Kilo India 5, Charlie Romeo Hotel. The ham radio contact coordinator for the schools is Louis, California, Charlie Tango 2, Golf, Oscar Yankee. And today we have students from Escola, Secundaria, the Lagoa, located in Lagoa at the Azores. I hope I did pronunciate that a little well. We have asked the principal to briefly tell us about the school and the students taking part today. So please go ahead.
Okay, hier Luís Machado, and I'll say that the Astronomy and Geocaching Club of Escola Secundaria de Lagoa, São Miguel Island at Azores, Portugal, exists since 2016. However, the astronomy and geocaching pedagogical activities are being done since 2013 through the annual activity plan. This project has also involved the school subjects of physics, maths, geography, geology, science, philosophy, Portuguese, English, arts and crafts. This club operates in a network with several partners and entities, including several cooperation protocols signed with some of these entities. Nowadays, the club has 112 students and 10 teachers. 20 of these students are part of the ISU, that means In Search of the Upper Sun, Azores Express program. Lagoa Secondary School has more than 900 students, 120 teachers, and about 30 employees. It teaches from 7 to 12 grade to the third cycle of basic education and in secondary education as students enrolled in course in science, humanities, and professional course. Thank you. Over.
Yes, thank you, sir, for this information. Let me see, 15, so we still have 3 minutes. So the students, I believe, are all from the area of Lagoa. Is that correct?
Yes, Bertus.
Yes, okay. Well, then we go to Claudio. Before the contact begins, please tell us about your ham radio station, your location, and how you will handle the conversation. Go ahead, Claudio.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Bertus, for your presentation. Briefly, our Telebridge station, as you said, is located in Casale Monferrato Airport in northwest of Italy, 100 kilometers from Turin and Milan. With me today as operator, we have Mikol, India Uniform 2 Lima X-ray radio, and Fabio, India Whiskey 1 Bravo November Delta, member of our Telebridge team. When T-30 seconds, I'll go to call Josh aboard the International Space Station, operating today with Oscar Romeo 4, India Sierra Sierra call sign. And as soon as signal will be loud and clear, I will invite the student to start with first question. And for the student, don't forget to say over, because this is a very important thing to coordinate the conversation between us and the astronaut. Now I see the international approaching very fast to the Italy, so we have 30 seconds to the contact, so microphone back to you, Bertus.
Okay, thank you, Claudio. I will keep it short now. So please, everything, remember to say over at the end. And Claudio, it's all up to you. I wish you good luck and a lot of success. We will listen in. Go ahead.
Okay, Bertus, we have the ISS acquisition, so I call now. Oscar Romeo 4, India Sierra Sierra. This is India Kilo 1, Sierra Lima Delta, Telebridge ground station calling for a scheduled ARISS contact. Do you copy, Josh? Over.
Got you loud and clear aboard the ISS.
Okay, Oscar Romeo 4, India Sierra Sierra, IK1SLD. Good evening, Josh. Your signal is loud and clear. Welcome on Italy. If you are ready, I'm going to pass the microphone to the first student. Over.
Wonderful, and welcome aboard the International Space Station. I'm looking forward to our conversation today. Over.
Okay, Josh, go ahead, Alexander.
Are your bones, muscles, and organs affected by microgravity? Over.
They absolutely. In fact, we have to exercise 2.5 hours a day, and that's because we don't have to work very hard at all the other 21.5 hours of the day. In fact, if we don't exercise, our bones will lose a lot of mass by the time we get home. So we try to stay strong in both muscles and bones, and our organs tend to do very well, but there are certainly some changes. Over.
How did it feel to have achieved your life goal of being an astronaut? Over.
Well, it is wonderful to be a part of an incredible team that does amazing things and be able to contribute in any small way. But I'll tell you, it is a job, and really my life's goal is to be the best dad and husband that I can be. And so that's what I am very passionate about, in addition to being able to do a very, very cool job. Over.
If an astronaut becomes very ill in space and needs urgent medical care, what happens? Do doctors travel with you? Over.
Well, coincidentally, we have a doctor on board. He is an astronaut, and that was his training before becoming an astronaut. He was a physician. But you don't have to have a doctor on board. We do have fundamental training that we all get so that we can take care of each other in that kind of a situation. But if it's really bad, we can always get into our lifeboat, which is just the spacecraft that we flew up here, and we can come home. We could probably be home in probably 4 or 6 hours if we really needed to. Over.
What would happen if planet Earth had Mars low gravity? Over.
You know, I don't know exactly what would happen, but because that gravity is so much lower than what we're used to on Earth, I think it's only about 40% of what we experience. You can imagine that life would be very different because the weather would behave much differently, plant life would behave much differently, people would have evolved differently, and so the impacts, I think, would be significant. So we have a very special planet, and we need to take great care of it.
What do you do while you're on board of the International Space Station? Over.
Our days are very busy. We are doing experiments on behalf of the researchers on the ground. We're also doing a lot of activities to maintain the space station. It is a very big and complex and getting a little bit older spacecraft. And so there's a lot that we need to do. And sometimes we can actually even make it better. We can do upgrades. Recently we did some spacewalks where we put up new solar arrays so that the space station can keep generating the power it needs to do those important experiments. Over.
If you could change anything about your work, what would it be? Over.
I think for me, this job would be even cooler if I got to be one of those researchers. If I was part of a team and we were doing an experiment together and I was running that experiment while I was up here. I do enjoy being a part of a lot of different experiments, but if there was one that I knew very, very well, that would be very interesting to me. Over.
During their stay in space, do astronauts have any working schedule to keep? Over.
Yes, very much so. In fact, this is a 10-minute break for me in the middle of a very busy day, which I'm very happy to get to do. But our days tend to start about 7:30 in the morning, and they go until 7:30 at night. And we are constantly hopping from one event to the other. And again, that is either an experiment or doing things that the space station itself requires. It's very interesting. We get to see a lot of different things. So at the end of the day, we may be tired, but it seems really, really rewarding because we've done so many very different things. Over.
While they are in the space station, do astronauts play video games during their free time? Over.
So we probably don't play the video games that you're imagining, but we do use things that seem like video games to stay current and proficient at what we need to do. For example, we have a computer simulation of flying the robotic arm. We have a giant robotic arm in the space station that we use for a variety of things, catching cargo vehicles. My friend Nicole and my other friend Koichi flew me around. I was on the end of the robotic arm when we were doing a spacewalk. And so we have a computer simulation that allows us to stay very proficient at being able to manipulate that arm. We have one that also helps us practice being able to fly our little spacesuit when we're doing spacewalks. If we ever needed to, we have virtual reality up here that helps us train and be ready to do that. Over.
What sensations or effects occur during re-entry into Earth's orbit? Over.
Well, I haven't done that part yet. I've been up here about 4 months, and we have not gone home yet. This is my first flight, but we have trained for it quite a bit. And so the sensations are going to be, well, first of all, we're going to be experiencing gravity that we haven't felt for quite a while. And so we're going to start having, we'll have our blood start coming down to our legs where it hasn't spent a lot of time recently. And we'll also be experiencing accelerations on our bodies. So we'll experience some G's, but they won't go from our head to our feet. It will really go back through our chest. And so we'll feel like somebody's sitting on our chest. Over.
Since there's no atmosphere in space, have you ever been woken up by the sun photons while you're sleeping? Over.
You know, I've never been woken up by it, but I've certainly seen it as I'm falling asleep. And I did physics before I became a test pilot. And so part of that physics was making detectors not unlike our eyeballs up here. And so when I see one of those things happen, I get really excited about it because it reminds me of my previous life as a physicist. Over.
Do astronauts have to follow any specific rules or laws when in space? Over.
Well, no country can own space, so there's no issues with that, but we do have certain rules, such as we can't have weapons of mass destruction in space, but we, as a community up here in space, we all just make sure that we are good partners for everyone else, and it's just like a big family. Everyone does their part and contributes to this and makes an incredible, incredible human space exploration program.
Let's imagine that humans have turned in some way the planet Earth a place impossible to live in. Would it be possible for humans to live in an exoplanet? Over.
I think it would be possible to live on an exoplanet, but it would require so much effort. In fact, more effort and a greater accomplishment than anything humans have accomplished. So it could be done. You could imagine doing it even on Mars, where you had a big bubble that we lived under. But right now, I think our focus should be on this planet. It is such a beautiful and perfect planet, and we need to make sure that it stays healthy for a long, long time. Over.
What should we study if you want to become an astronaut? Over.
I think no matter what you want to do, you need to study what you love and what you're passionate about. And if that happens to be something like math or science or engineering or medicine, that may lead to being an astronaut, but definitely do what you love, and no matter what happens, you're going to have won the lottery in terms of what you're doing for a career. Over.
What do you like to do when you are bored in space? Over.
You know, it sounds cliche, but I haven't been bored yet. We are incredibly busy up here, and when we're not on the schedule, there's so much to do, including even just looking out the window at this gorgeous planet. But I'll tell you one fun thing that we get to do, and in fact, I just did it yesterday. The space station did a boost, which means it just comes up to a slightly higher altitude because it had been dragging down over the past month or two. And so what I did is with my friend Anya, we just hung out in the middle of a module, not touching anything. And then as the rockets fired, the space station moved around us. And so it looked like we were translating down the space station. Over.
1 minute to loss.
Do you think your dream of being an astronaut has in some way affected your social life? Over.
It has, because we live in Houston, and it keeps us in Texas, and I'm from up north, and so that keeps us away from our family and friends, at least on a daily basis, but we get to stay in touch with them and see them as often as we can. Over.
During takeoff, how do astronauts feel both physically and psychologically? Over.
On launch day, we are probably physically as strong as we've ever been, and probably psychologically as well, because we're so incredibly well trained. The people on the ground who get us ready for this don't leave a single stone unturned. So we are ready to go and excited to get to work. Over.
How do astronauts entertain themselves during their free time in space? Over.
We have lost signal now from ground station.
Yes, I see Claudio by the tracking here. Okay. Yes, thank you. You made, I don't know, but 16 questions.
Please give a loud applause for everyone, and especially and of course for Claudio, who did a perfect job to guide us through the connection. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this big applause for Claudio, for George Cassada was well earned. And we have shared a moment of history. Amateur radio station IK1SLD in Italy, operated by Claudio, contacted George Cassada, Kilo India 5 Charlie Romeo Hotel, on board the International Space Station. And he enabled students in Lagoa to ask their questions. Luis, do you have anything more you would like to add at this moment?
No, thank you very much for your for this opportunity. Okay, Bertus and Claudio too. I want to send my compliments to the Nicole and Claudio to the very good work on the Telebridge station. And I ask to Nicole to call me later to send some pictures from the contact to you. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, Luis. Luis, thank you very much from all the team at Telebridge Station, from Fabio and Nicole are here with me. Thank you to you, thank you Bertus, and all the people involved in the contact today. Ciao, ciao from Italy.
Okay, Claudio.
Claudio.
And Luis, one more question. So if you have any